What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best warpath Void Knight build in last Epoch Season 2. So in this guide I will give you a quick overview of the setup, then I will explain what skills and upgrades should you focus on. Then as well we'll see what is the best gear and how to get it for the endgame. And then finally we will go over the passive tree, stats, your skill rotations, and even what idols and blessings should you use, so we would be able to get the highest damage possible and much more. This is a powerful melee bruiser whose main playstyle is built to dominate the battlefield with relentless spinning carnage. Our main gameplay loop is to keep spinning to ramp up our damage and area coverage, which eventually will sweep nearly the entire screen of the enemies with the warpath. This is the ultimate spin to win automatic blades build, and our main focus is on the Warrior's Fury passive, which scales the Void melee damage and AoV to incredible levels. While Warpath becomes more mana hungry the longer it's used, the Void Well passive and the high mana stacking will allow you to spin for an extended period. But keep in mind that it's very crucial to take the Void well if you're using the Warrior's Fury. And also supporting skills like Devouring Orb, Anomaly, Symbols of the Hope, and Abyssal Echoes will provide excellent buffs to amplify our power. This build works great without relying on uniques, but if you get your hands on items like the Clodo's Needle, Siphon of the Anguish, Shattered Chains, Anchor of Oblivion, and the Nihils, then you can push its damage and effectiveness to an entirely new level. So let's start off with our skills, and we are going to be using the Warpath, which is our main DPS skill. By using these passives we will gain a huge damage and AoV buff, but also it will cost more mana, so our other nodes will focus on its reduction and increased crit chance. And we will use things like the Warrior's Fury, which will gain massive AoV and damage potential. Unfortunately, Void Essences and the Void Well passive will let you keep spinning for extended periods without running out of mana. Then also will boost the Warpath's damage by using the Maw of the Deep and the Whirling Steel. And also pick up the Cyclone of War for a huge crit chance bonus. Then the Juggernaut Stance passive will give us a valuable parry chance when paired with the Clodo's Needle. Plus, with the Abyssal Tempest, you will automatically trigger the Abyssal Echoes as you spin, which stacks even more DPS. Then second, we got the Devouring Orb, which is the main source of Void Essence. Our nodes are focused on the extra damage, and we will place the skill on the skill bar, but not manually use it, as it's set up to automatically activate with the Abyssal Rush. We'll also take the Void Adapt and the Rending Maw of the extra damage, and don't forget that it's automatically cast with the Abyssal Rush. Then next we're using Anomaly, which provides powerful buffs, and our nodes are focused on giving us Void Shred, along with more attack speed. We'll go with nodes like the Borrow Time to instantly cast and follow up with Anomaly to trigger the Mark of the Root on bosses. Then also the Time Bubble with Add Void Shred, while Manipulation will give you a boost in attack speed. With the Time Lord, your Time Bubble will stick with you, keeping those buffs active wherever you go. Then next we got the Symbols of Hope that provides even more buffs. We will get bunch of extra effects like the Tetragram, which lets you summon extra symbols by increasing your overall utility. Then also we'll gain powerful bonuses through the Symbols of Despair, Heavenly Justice, Sign of the Guard, and the Iron Sigils. And make sure that the skill is on your action bar, but just let it get triggered passively in the background. And then finally we're using the Abyssal Echoes that provide additional buffs and is automatically cast with the Warpath. Passives like the Nether Coating will boost your damage through the Embraced Darkness and Abyssal Tendrils. And the same thing again, you don't need to cast it manually, just make sure it's equipped. Next up we got Passive Tree, and this is how it should look like in the Sentinel category. We mainly went with nodes that gives us bunch of defenses like Armor, Fire and Void Resistance, Block Effectiveness, more health, and attributes like Strength and Vitality. Then next we got our Paladin category with nodes that gives us more attunement, then also Elemental Resistances, more health and block effectiveness. And then finally we're also heavily investing into the Void Knight category, with all of these points allocated like this. So we want to go big on increased Void and physical resistance, increased damage, more melee and Void damage leached as life, Void penetration, increased Void damage, and pretty much other nodes that gives us stats to Void effects. Next up we also got the Weaver tree, and I'm still experimenting so it's not fully done, but for right now this is the most optimal way to build it for pretty much most of the builds. So we start right here, then go like this, then pretty much keep making this type of circle and then end it at around this point. To make the most out of this Weaver tree, we want to aim for items with a higher Weaver will, which could be closer to 25 to maximize its potential upgrades. Also, what at least I like to do is run level 100 zones to increase the chance of finding the higher Weaver's will item. Then also focus on the monolith timelines with unique echo rewards for the item type you desire. And lastly, you could also increase the timeline corruption to enhance the reward quality even further. But overall, this Weaver tree will offer an alternative path to enhancing unique items, which allows you to grow stronger by doing specific endgame content. Next up we got idols, and this is how it should look like. So we're using 7 size 1x1 minor Weaver idols with modifiers like mana, increased mana regen, health and even more mana. Then next we got one small Weaver idol that is size 1x1 with modifiers like the void penetration and physical resistance. Next we got 2 humble Weaver idols with a size 2x1 that have vitality, health regen and necrotic resistance. And lastly we got 2 heretical ornate solar idols with a size 4x1 that have increased echo damage, increased void damage, increased critical strike chance and multipliers, as well as increased movement speed and damage. Next up we got our blessing setup, and this is how it should look like. So we want to go with the Grand Emptiness of Ash that have critical strike multiplier. Then second we get the Grand Light to the Moon that gives us more mana. Then next we get the Grand Resolve of Humanity with more to all resistances. Next we get the Grand Resolve of the Hrael with physical resistance. And lastly, we get the Grand Patience of the Hercure that gives us more armor while channeling. Next we have our equipment, and for the head on the helmet we are using the Leon 9 Great Helm with armor, mana and reduced channel cost. Then for amulet we got the Nihils with increased health, more mana, increased movement speed and more levels to all skills. Then for the weapon we got the Clodo's Needle with melee damage, melee critical strike chance, increased melee attack speed and void melee damage. We went with this one because it has a great damage, crit and high base attack rate. You can farm it from the last wood folly of the Waben Echoes. Then for the chest we got the Titan Heart with armor, lightning resistance, levels of the warpath and increased melee damage. Then for our first ring we got the Flames of the Midnight with Ward Decay, increased critical strike chance, and increased minion health. We went with this one because it provides us with a 20% movement speed, plus a bit of extra void penetration. Then for build we got a Shatter Chains with armor, potion slots, ward gain on potion use and more health. Then for second ring we got the Siphon of the Anguish with elemental resistance, strength and more health. The Siphon of Anguish with the Shatter Chains is a great combination because of their huge boost to our damage and leech. Then for the gloves we got Eternal Gauntlets with increased melee attack speed, mana and more health. Then for shoes we got the Solarian Step with armor, increased movement speed, and melee critical strike multiplier. And lastly we got the Anchor of Oblivion with increased armor, mana, increased void damage and more endurance. This is great for easily getting max endurance and increased defenses. So overall this is the best case scenario setup, which should be more of an example of what stats and modifiers to look for. But no matter what you have, just try to build around increasing as much mana as possible, while also getting reduced channel cost, so we would be able to use the warpath for a lot longer. And now finally we've come to the gameplay, and I will show you 2 different rotations, so one for general AoV farming and the other one for single target. And by the way, as most of the other skills are automatic, so these rotations are extremely easy. So first up we got our AoV rotation, and for the first one we want to start our fights by activating the warpath, which is our go-to for this classic spin to win gameplay. And then afterwards, just keep it channeling to stack up massive damage and AoV, thanks to the Warrior's Fury. Then also, stay mobile to auto-cast Devouring Orb as you move through the enemies, and make sure that our time bubble is always active by consistently triggering Anomaly. And then second of all we got bossing, which to be honest I already covered a little bit in the first rotation. So to summarize it, then this time we want to start fights by maximizing our damage, by keeping all 4 buffs active all the time. So be sure to hit the bosses with Anomaly to trigger the Mark of the Root. Then as before, stay mobile, so move at least 4 meters in the previous 2 seconds to create the echoes with the warpath that are powered by the Echo Knight. And lastly, for quick boss encounters, boost our DPS fully by ramping up the Warrior's Fury. So let me know what you think about this build in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, then you definitely don't want to miss my previous top 3 best builds video, where I showed even more powerful builds. So click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.